the Irish government has introduced laws making it mandatory to wear face masks in places like cinemas and shopping centres in Ireland. But if you watch this video, you don't necessarily have to abide by those regulations. How is it that merely watching a video could have that result? Watch, I'll show you the regulation and you'll begin to understand. Here it is. It's SI 296, which governs the wearing of face masks, as I say, in places like shopping centres and cinemas. And a reasonable excuse for not having one is in section 5D. It says you have a reasonable excuse if you've removed the face covering to avoid harm or injury or the risk of harm or injury. And the same wording is also seen in a similar regulation, SI 244, which was introduced to govern the wearing of face masks on public transport. It also has section 6D, again allowing you to remove the face covering to avoid harm or injury, and that being a valid excuse. So folks, the question is there a valid risk to you to wearing face masks? And that risk is something I'm going to identify for you right now. Your biggest risk is low oxygen, and I'll let US Attorney Lee Dundas lay that out for you.
So a lot of the residents, while the county was debating the issue this last week, went onto the steps of County Hall, put a pulse oximeter on their finger. If you're not familiar with this device, it's a little device that just clamps onto the end of your finger and it measures the amount of oxygen in your system. And when the people put it on before they had the mask in place, they had about 98-99% oxygenation, which is pretty standard and that's very normal. Every single person within a few minutes of putting the mask on their face dropped to 92% or below, which is hypoxic range. The average range at which our participants found themselves was 86%. It is worth noting that Medicare and your insurance company will actually pay for you to get supplemental oxygen if you're below 88%. And the average of our participants was 2 points below that. One of those was a very fit nurse. She dropped into 76% zone, and the other one was a runner. She runs every day and she was at 79%. So a lot of, times people go, well, so-and-so said to do it, it must be safe. Our government told us that DDT was safe. They told us Agent Orange was safe. They told us that pregnant women should smoke Camels, and that was safe. And it wasn't safe, folks. In the same way that a lot of that stuff wasn't safe, this is not safe. If you're walking around with a mask on your face and your oxygen rate is down in the red zone, that is not okay.
That's Attorney Lee Dundas. But don't just take her word for it, because you're watching Vax Uncensored on LBRY TV, and this is Fenton Dunn, journalist for informedconsent.ie. And on Informed Consent, we've got details for you, backing all of that up with published peer-reviewed studies which confirm what you just heard. And an article there you can check on our website, informedconsent.ie. And it goes into the risks from wearing face masks, and in detail it goes into the background, supported by published peer-reviewed medical studies, that it does indeed cause hard breathing, and that may result in cardiac overload, renal overload, and shift to metabolic acidosis. And there, that number 31 tells you to check reference number 31 in the published medical literature for details on that. So this isn't just something off the back of an envelope. This is published peer-reviewed medical studies I'm citing here now. The risk of N95 respirators includes a loss in volume of oxygen consumption by 13.8% when compared to N95. So when compared to, and 17.7% less carbon dioxide was exhaled. There's also a risk of those masks harboring influenza virus, and that's detailed. One study found that both N95 and surgical face masks can produce differences in temperature and humidity, which have an effect on heart rate and thermal stress. So healthcare workers were also measured using aerosol samples, and they were found to harbor influenza viruses in their masks. And a range of pathogens were found. The longer you wear the mask, the higher the risks. Cloth masks in particular, I'd like to warn you on this one, they were found to have 13 times the risk of influenza-like illness compared to medical masks. And healthcare workers wearing cloth masks had significantly higher rates of influenza-like illness after 4 weeks of continuous on-the-job use when compared to controls. There are also, bizarrely, dental and heart complications. Two dentists in New York say that mask wearing makes people breathe through their nose and their mouths dry out, and that affects acid and increases tooth decay, which would lead to strokes and heart attacks in the long term. Indeed, even acne is one of the consequences of mask wearing. And there you see now from websites, cdc.gov, I'll just cite some of them, medexoriv.org, JAMA Network, NIH.gov, the National Institutes of Health in the United States. Here we have 30, 40 different peer-reviewed studies which we're using to cite that. And that's, as I say, from our website, informedconsent.ie. So there's a range of health risks, and you're now aware of those risks. I've made you aware of them. And the legislation says that if, now that you are aware of the risks, you decide to remove your face mask or not wear one subsequent to hearing this information, that is provided for in law in the legislation. Now, it's not just my opinion. I've taken senior counsel advice on this, and senior counsel advice to me is that, in fact, the law does allow you, if you have concerns for your health, to remove your mask. And this Section 5 and Section 6 in the regulations SI 296 and 244 are fully allow you to do what they say. The legal advice I have is that when it comes to trying to understand what's in a statutory instrument, which is what the government used to do this, you simply read the plain language that the statutory instrument has, and it doesn't require any further interpretation. Again, that's on foot of legislation which was introduced in regard to from 2005, which governed the interpretation of statutory instruments. So it does exactly what it says on the tin, and this provides for you to not wear a mask if you so choose. Now, we also have a Facebook page, and I'd like to thank the members there on the Informed Consent Facebook page who provided a lot of the information I've given you here today when I asked them to prove to me that masks can indeed cause harm. And they did. Off they went, and I had lots of links, 16 comments on that post in our Facebook group. But again, just to make sure that you're aware of where you can get the information, here are the pages. You can get it on facebook.com in our Informed Consent group. You can get it on informedconsent.ie, or you can access that web page showing you the risks in detail with peer-reviewed published studies using a simple link, bit.ly/mask exempt. Now, in fact, you're watching the very first episode of Vax Uncensored on LBRY.TV because I got tired of being censored by YouTube and Facebook when I broadcast on their platforms. And LBRY.TV is a blockchain-based censor-proof platform that allows you to support causes while also watching uncensored videos. And all of our content will be on there in preference. But you will, of course, get access to our content through informedconsent.ie, a website. You might even have to use that as your primary way of getting to us, if in fact this censorship intensifies, as it may well do. As it says on the website, to know it is to own it, because knowledge is power. And we're here to make sure that you have all the knowledge that you're entitled to, uncensored. All right, I'll be back with more soon for Vax Uncensored on LBRY, but in the meantime, for informedconsent.ie, this has been Fintan Dunn reporting.
You can feel the spirit. You can feel this freedom.